Okay. Now, shall we deal with some presidential diaries? There's been this.
Is that really an issue?
It's an issue, really. It is.
It doesn't exist.
Because if our money has been spent in the way that is suggested, then we ought to be concerned. You don't think so?
Well, your money has not been spent, and that is the point.
Okay.
Well, since you are speaking about presidential diaries, and I happen to be associated with that diary for the past 2 to 3 years, I speak on authority that
no $10 million has been spent on that. That's what you're saying.
The flag bearer of the MPP was seriously misinformed, but by whoever provided him with that information. And I would have wished that at least the media houses which carried that story perhaps would have taken the time to cross-check. Samson, it is customary.
I'm reliably informed that a particular journalist has been saying this for a long time, but you never paid attention until Nana Akufo-Addo also reported of this journalist saying what he has been saying.
I have not seen any news report on that issue. Nana Akufo-Addo made a statement. And having been one who has been part of the process in editing the diary for the past 3 years, I know the way the system works. And I don't have any record of any journalist seeking any information about the modalities and the conditions and the processes by which the presidential diary is produced. But what I can say is that it has become customary that every year the Office of the President produces diaries for distribution to members of society, particularly leadership, both political and otherwise, and also as a way of bringing attention to, our history and other important information that we believe that we should share with the rest of society, particularly those in leadership. Now, the way it has always worked, and I say so because Reku Brobe has waded into that and confirms what I know and what we've been doing.
Is that Reku Brobe has not worked in the Flagstaff House?
No, but he knows what was going on when the MPP was in power.
So he spoke about how he did his own diaries or whatever.
And he has shared that information
when he was in charge of the Ghana 50.
Which complements what I am going to say. This is the way it works. People make proposals wanting to produce the diary, which is a novelty.
People who are invited?
No, anyone can send a proposal. We receive proposals on all kinds of issues. People even make policy proposals. So we evaluate those proposals. And the one that we believe is attractive in terms of the type of content they want to include, the types of graphics that they would use, and just the aesthetical contributions that they think they can add to improve the diary from the previous year. One of them is selected. And then that person is then given a letter of introduction, which you then take out to solicit for funding and donations to produce the diary. Government and the Flagstaff House does not give any money towards the production of any diary. And that is why I was surprised when I read
Who determines the quantities?
Well, we would discuss the quantities with the person who has been given the assignment. But usually it is within the range of 1,500 to 2,000.
And you don't care at all how much that person will be raising out there in the public?
Well, there are limitations because, this is a copy of it, the one that is out, and this is what it looks like. And, most of those who even fund it, a lot of the time, would not even do it until production, and they see it to be satisfied that whatever commitments they have made certainly meets the buck that they are putting for. And this is an example of it. And we don't spend a dime. We don't spend a dime producing this. We didn't spend a dime producing this one.
You didn't spend a dime?
Not at all.
You just gave the go-ahead to one company that just brought a proposal.
You go out and you
without
solicit
any advertisement. Okay.
And then you produce it. You bring the first draft. People like myself, we look at it, we vet it to make sure that the content is appropriate whatever advertisements that you seek to include in at least meet a minimum threshold in terms of the quality and even the text within that advertisement. Now, when we are satisfied with that, you then go to do the final production. And you come and deliver our 1,500 to 2,000 copies to us. End of story. We don't put a cent, a dime, or even a pesewa towards the production of the presidential diary. So I was very surprised that that even became an issue to have dominated the airwaves for a discussion that was totally unwarranted. And indeed, my own investigation indicates that what we have been doing is exactly what the MPP was doing during their tenure.
This is what Nana Akufo-Addo said. He was in Germany, right? And he said, Holland. He said, I listened to the disillusionment of the average Ghanaian with politicians who promise them relief and end up bringing them grief when they get into office. I listened to the journalist who is saddened by the revelation that a government can spend $10 million to print presidential diaries. Yes, you heard me right. $10 million. And yet we are barely able to scrape together $10 million as a down payment on our debt to Nigeria for the supply of a truly essential product, gas. That's what he said. Nana, how is it that your flag bearer heard this and didn't bother to check whether it was true or not, and repeated it in Holland?
Well, thank you, Samson. APAC has tried to put some brave face on the matter.
No, but I'm telling the truth.
It's okay.
I mean, I've been associated with the production.
It's all right. It's all right. You've been associated. It's okay. Samson, Nana Akufo-Addo heard these assertions being made by journalists in this your staple for about 2-3 days on morning show.
Yes.
And the assertions went uncontested. It's a very popular morning show. The president actually listens. The president actually listens to that show. Yes, the president listens to that show because he used to use that show as reference in his some of his press conferences. For 3 days, these assertions were being made. Nanado, in putting together some of the grievances of Ghanaians that he has heard, makes reference to the assertions of the journalists that so much amount of money has been spent on presidential diaries. Nanado is not here at the moment. He made a statement abroad. He's still not back. He may have some evidence. He may not have some
evidence. It doesn't exist. There is no, I can tell you that on authority.
Please.
It just does not exist.
Can I speak? Or you want me to keep quiet?
No, I'm telling you that it doesn't exist.
But you've told us.
If you are going to say he may, I'm saying it doesn't exist.
Something, can I continue?
Yes, please.
So Nanado may have some evidence. He may not have some evidence and was merely just repeating what has been said on public radio. Be that as it may, let's even assume that the man hasn't gotten the evidence. This is now a public issue. We are being told that there's no public money involved and $10 million have not been spent. But what we have on our hands now is a public-private partnership, a public resource, the office of the president, is being used by a private...
That's an entirely different argument.
No, but that is my argument.
Right. But it's a different argument.
No, it's not.
No, when I finish for the merits of it. But it has nothing to do with the case at hand. Something is trying to say.
When I finish, you will see that it has everything to do with the case.
That's shifting the goalpost.
I don't know why you want to be the only person talking.
In fact, I'll come to you later because I have a few questions.
Something. A public resource, in this case, the office of the presidency, is being used or being permitted to be used by a private sector operator to raise funds to produce a public good, presidential diaries. So this is a public-private partnership. It should fall under some rules of procurement.
It does look like even raising the funds is not checked.
But
you are giving a free check.
I'm happy that you are coming to see the point.
Check, so to speak.
I'm happy that you are seeing the point I'm raising. So you have a public facility being used by a private sector operator to raise funds to produce a public good. So you have all the ingredients of a private-public sector partnership. Now, some rules of procurement must be followed. The bidding process. Who won? Who's this private sector who won the bid to use this public resource? How much monies are going to be raised? What are the terms and conditions? APAC is telling us today that there are some limitations. You heard him. What limitations are there? Because this is a public issue.
That's not what your flag bearer said.
But Nana, he says they don't give it out through bids. People just write to the Flagstaff House saying, I'm interested in producing diaries.
That's right.
They look through the list and they pick one and say, we think from what you have submitted, you can do a better job. So come take it, go away. They give him a letter, just go.
So assuming this is so, because there's public resource involved and there's public goods involved and there's an issue, you say that what is being talked about is not true. It is incumbent then on the government to have full disclosure as to whose proposal got the approval, how much money is involved, because we are using a public resource to go and look for that money. How much money is involved, all of those things. And you see, my conclusion is this. We're talking about transparency and accountability. These people shout about it from the rooftop. I'll quote to you President Mahama's own pledge on transparency and accountability in his public address to the country.
He's telling you that there's no procurement involved. So what is the point of...
But you agree that a public resource is involved and public goods are involved, Samson. Now, even if, you see, for the sake of transparency and accountability, once it's become a public issue, and you say that there's misinformation, isn't it incumbent on the government then to provide the full information?
Does it matter that he says that's the same procedure you used when you're in government?
But it is now a public issue, and you are saying that there's misinformation being peddled. So isn't it incumbent on you now to provide the full information? Let me just conclude. I'm just quoting something from the president that will illustrate the point. And he says, as president, I am committed to running a transparent and accountable government devoid of corruption. All forms of corruption and waste of public resources will be confronted by my government, from the payment of government monies to persons and institutions who do not deserve them, to the misuse of government assets. Then he goes on. This is the last sentence. I need to immediately add that my government will not shirk its legitimate responsibilities in accountability and transparency, even in context where the private sector engages with government as a business partner. And this clearly is the private sector engaging with government as a business partner. And there's a dispute. You yourself, you've claimed there's misinformation.
This is doing work for the government for free. Is that business partnership?
There's money involved. The presidency is being used to go and raise money to produce that.
Don't mind me.
Oh, but you see,
now, Kuku has taken a look at the 2015...
Demand accountability from these people.
2015 diary and says it looks good. The content looks nice.
So what is the cost of this?
The question I asked Nana Akomia, which he hasn't answered. Sorry, gentlemen. The question I asked Nana, which he hasn't answered, is whether he felt that there was need for Nanado to be sure of what he was reporting.
Yes.
Because now he's been told that he lied.
It's a legitimate question to ask of any Ghanaian citizen, especially a leader, a statesman, and Nanado is one. So I have no qualms at all with that kind of question. He has to be asked. And if he has the answer, he must provide it. If he doesn't have, he has to explain himself. And if it means a retraction and apology, he renders it. I don't have a problem with that. It's the matter of principle. He made it based on what the journalist had been saying. The same journalist can be questioned also to give us further and better particulars. That's a principle that we can't exclude anybody from. So it's legitimate. And hopefully, Nana may answer why he's there, or when he comes, I'm sure journalists will pursue him to help. I don't know about the journalist you are talking about who belongs to this table. I hadn't heard it.
The reference is to Captain Smart.
Oh, okay. I have to be honest. I heard it for the first time when Nanado made a statement.
Me too, I did. It was later I was told that he's the one who'd been saying
so let's embark on an inquiry. Ask them questions. Let them give us some evidence. And then let's move beyond that. But you see, it doesn't stop there. And the answer is given by government rather create more problems. Seriously. I didn't know. I don't know, Tarzan, whether he was talking about Ghana 50 scheme or he was talking about the general practice under the MPP government. I haven't heard Tarzan explain himself. Well, I heard the text that he sent to Asampa, and my mind, the drift of my understanding was that it could be due to, in connection with the Ghana at 50 diary. But if indeed it was what was being done as a tradition, as a practice by the MPP administration, I still have a difficulty with it. See, APAC talks about submission of proposals. How did those companies get to know that they needed to make submissions of proposals? Was there a notice requiring companies to submit proposals? If the notice was done, when, where, how? Look, it's boggling, mind-boggling. And then when a company wins that, quote unquote, because it wasn't through the actual procurement, but gets the approval of government to use the presidency and the Republic of Ghana symbols and things for this exercise to raise funds. What I have, with my uneducated mind, when private companies raise funds using the state or give funds to the state to do public things, those monies are technically speaking public funds. They are. So also must be subjected to some auditing processes. How much was raised by that company? I don't know if the name is available. APAC should tell us, since he's been dealing with it for 2-3 years. He must have the identity of this particular company. We journalists then we follow up to go and ask questions of them. But how much was raised? You don't know. You don't care. So if they raise 20 million and apply 10 million and use the other 10 million for their own activities, that's agreed by government? I mean, come off it. It is so mediocre and inept and ought not to be allowed for a second, even if it was done by Nkrumah's regime.
Some say that story is unbelievable and we should not believe it from the presidency.
But you see,
that they just give you a letter and say go and raise funds. They don't care how much you raise.
It's mind-boggling. I say so too. And if that had been done by all governments, then really it has been naked robbery by all of them put together. But you see, here we are dealing with this particular one. Unfortunately, we have a presidential staffer here, and he has spoken. And what he said, it went through here and passed through the other side. I didn't hear it. It didn't stick, because it cannot stick.
His emphasis was that there was an inaccuracy being peddled, that the state of Ghana, the presidency, has expended $10 million to print diaries.
I'm with him on that score until and unless Nana Akufo-Addo provides the evidence or the journalist we've just spoken about that. I'm with him on that score. Let me be honest with you. Why? That standard of strict proof, Nana Addo is not exempted from that standard.
Okay.
Look, and he will not be the first presidential flag bearer to have made an error of that nature, if indeed it's an error. Okay. So that, I say, is distinct from the larger picture now that is emerging out of the answers being provided by government. My goodness, that's lack of quality in terms of governance. And if Kufuor's administration did it, Mills' administration did it, the Mahama administration is doing it, and Nkrumah even did it, we must condemn it. It's dangerous practice.
How the politicians do this? Because one regime did something, it must be right at all the times.
I hope, I will check. I'm going to do research on this to find out if that's what all the governments did. Important. That is naked robbery using private enterprise.
It's very important, I believe. But the fact remains that government has not expended one cedi of public funds in the production of presidential diaries.
Until that is proven, I will go with you on that score.
So a few more of your messages, and there's a concentration of there's a concentration. No, I'll come to him. There's a concentration on the NPP issues, and Eliasu in Tamale says the NDC never ceases to amaze me. Its hypocritical stance that it took in their Afoko issue. They sacked everyone else, including their founder and wife. Yet they chastise the NPP for merely suspending its chairman. Frances Siam Obeda Samoa were not only sacked, but were physically abused out of the NDC. Tell the NDC to pay attention to their own matters, do fearsome, so to speak. And then this one says, I remember Kweku Bako empathizing Dr. Obeda Samoa and Frances Essiem after Koforidua NDC National Delegates Congress, which led to the formation of the DFP. Today, NPP is the victim because the party must be supreme irrespective of the wrongs and indiscipline there.
What happened?
And that is from Larry.
If somebody was beaten, assaulted with horse whips, I needed to clap for those who did that act. That's been what is being suggested.
I see.
Yes.
So, and a number of lawyers are bringing out cases which they say those who are going to court, particularly Afoko, should be expected to be victorious, that this thing will be quashed on the basis of the natural justice principle and also the jurisdiction question that have come up. And they have raised some Supreme Court law reports on some issues that I'm familiar with. So it does look like the MPP should gear up.
We wish them well.
Should gear up to face that particular battle. Now, the legitimate questions are being asked. You are saying that in fact the truth is that your doors are just open and you never tell anybody that you are welcome to bring us any proposals. They just bring them.
Well, you know, it has become like a custom and a tradition where, you know, people know that this occurs.
So how many companies came?
And perhaps, you know, we should have been doing some of these things. But it is something that has always happened, and we have not had any reason.
Which company did this particular
to
one,
worry?
which is in dispute?
No, it has not. Even the one for next year is not even out yet.
So we are talking 2015.
Well, that is the thing. I mean,
okay, who did
Nana
that?
Akufo-Addo
Who did that 2015?
just talked about it, and we are talking about the issue in terms of the figures.
You're not
The
answering.
one for next year,
Answer Kweku's
I
question.
have. Kwekwe is not a host. I'm not obligated. I am not obligated to answer.
You just hold on quickly. I want you to clear this.
The point I'm making is that the one for next year, I've only looked at the first draft.
Who is doing
We will
it?
look at the second draft.
Okay, who's doing it?
The company is called JIT, J-I-T Magazine and Diaries Limited.
And how about the 15 one? Who did it?
That one, I don't know which company.
But
did
you
it.
edited it.
I edited it, but I wasn't part of the process. This one I know because I am part of the process from the onset.
How much is it going to cost?
I don't know. All I know is that we are going to take between 1,500 and 2,000 pieces.
You have no interest.
And I have a responsibility of vetting.
I'm
and making
reliably,
sure that
I'm
the
reliably
content
informed.
is proper.
I'm reliably informed that the letters for the sponsorship or to print the diaries come from the Flagstaff House. They are signed by officers of the state, and they are taken to financial institutions that are known to be endowed, and they have very high quotations, and they feel compelled. They feel they do not have an option to refuse to give the money for the purpose.
Samson, I showed you.
It
this
appears
copy.
what you are saying
can
is
go
true.
through
It's a racket.
and you
I've
can
just
see.
received
It's a racket.
You can
that
see
effect.
what is in it. You can see the different advertisements. That is how the sponsors support the
No,
program.
you are
much do
saying
they
that
raise
it
for
is
their
not
advertising?
true.
That is what I'm-
No, how
You are
much
saying
is
that
raised
it
by
is
the
not
advertising?
true.
You
You are
have no
saying
interest
sorry,
in
sorry,
knowing.
no, sorry.
It has never been the
Sorry.
customary practice
To check the
for
money
me to be interested.
in the money.
What we do is to get our copies and to make sure that the diary meets the quality.
You do not care how
Of
much
the
money is
high
raised.
office of the
No,
president.
Yeah, but you do not care how much money is raised by the use of that public resource, the president.
We know,
You do not care.
we know that resources are not abound. And in fact, a lot of the time, most of those who get these assignments, they struggle to get sponsors. If you
Really?
have information
The whole
to the
place, the whole
contrary,
thing is full of adverts.
if you have information to the contrary, let me know.
No, but the whole thing is full of adverts.
Even the producers of these diaries,
The whole thing is
a
full
lot
of
of the time
adverts.
have complained that companies have placed ads in them and have not even paid for them.
Nana, can you allow me to do this job, please? Sorry, hold on. I
third
asked the
of the
question.
pages is
Nana,
adverts.
sorry.
Third
I
of the
asked the
pages.
question. Nana, please.
Yeah, no.
I asked the question.
And that is how the diary is funded.
Pay attention to me. Forget about Nana. I asked the question whether the Flagstaff House itself does not write to these entities asking them?
No.
And in the majority,
As a matter of fact,
these are government entities.
we don't. The flag server doesn't write to
So
the
who writes
entities
the
directly.
letters?
You don't.
It is only the person whose proposal has been sanctioned or given the green light who contacts whatever entities, whether private or
how
public,
do they know?
to support it.
How do they know that the state is involved? How do they know?
This is how somebody was just trying to find out a
mention
few
the
things.
names.
This is Ace.
Yes.
And he was trying to make his own permutations. He says, okay, the presidential diary in question, the 2015 one, or a new one for 2016. Since they pretend not to have the information, Dr. Park, listen carefully.
I've read it
Since
on
they
social
pretend
media.
not to have the information,
I've read it on social media.
let's do our own exploration. In the 2015 diary, there are 96 full color art pages. 79 of those pages advertise the president and his speeches and contain some information about Ghana. Only 17 pages are arts from corporate Ghana in quote. Out of the 17, only 5 are wholly private sector. Only 5 are wholly private sector out of the 17. The vast majority are government entities like the ADB, the JIPC, Maritime Authority, GTDC, the GRA, you know, and those are taxes, right? VRA, Gradeco,
Fantastic
you know,
point.
all of them. Then, so he's saying, I'm guessing that those 17 arts paid for the printing cost, assuming $10 million was spent, $10 million was spent, just assuming then each company would have paid close to 590 for an ad. So how much was raised and how much was spent? And which company was selected to do this? Or we are not supposed to know. So these are, you know, germane questions, aren't they?
Well, I mean, but you can see very clearly that, as I've indicated, it is not our responsibility. It isn't.
Seriously.
We give you the assignment, you go out, and then you solicit for the donations.
You don't monitor how much they
produce
plow
the-
in
the-
and how much they
Let's
spend
make
on
this
the
a bad
product.
I am telling you
Let's
that
begin anew.
it has
This is a
not
bad
been
practice.
our
Concede
responsibility.
and move ahead with
It
a
has
new
not.
plan.
So what is the
but
basis of your denial?
you can
I'm not
imagine.
denying. The truth is that your flag bearer
Yes.
made a statement that was false.
So provide the truth.
Because it is not 12 million. We have not
So
put
what is the
forward
truth?
10 million.
So how
What is the
many
direct-
millions?
If we are going to discuss the
No, but
context
Nana,
and the totality
on that
and
fact,
other issues
on
thereof,
that fact,
that
as
is
far as
different.
we sit now, you know that you have
It
not
is
been
not
able to
true.
substantiate that claim.
We have said so.
You don't have the
that the
evidence to back
state,
Yes.
through the Flagstaffer, has spent 10 million to
We
produce.
have said that
Right.
we haven't brought the proof yet.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
but give us full disclosure. Is it too much to ask?
We
Is
are
it too-
discussing.
Well,
and
discussing the
we
full
will.
disclosure.
I have given you the name of the company, which is producing the one
You
for
don't know how much,
2016.
but you don't know how much
And
was
I have
raised.
told you that up until now, that was not part of my responsibility.
Okay.
Do
Yes,
you remember
yes,
the,
Koku, one
with the
minute.
reference to this Ghana 15 diaries? I think they went to court. You know that? And eventually government settled the issue amicably. They actually negotiated for a reduction with a private company. Apak, are you aware? So the Ghana
not in
15
totality.
thing, in a way, there was a government liability.
So
Yeah, there was a government liability.
Ace actually makes the point that these are some of the reasons why our governments will continue not to show any interest in passing the Right to Information, Act. Because when we have that act, you can use that to demand the information, and it ought to be provided. Thank you for your messages that have come in so far. Now.